Welcome back to Let's Have It Out. I'm Redi Tlhabi. Still in studio with me is researcher with Wits Institute for Social and Economic Research, Lisa Vetten. And we are talking about gender-based violence. We're talking about the gender pay gap. We're asking questions, what do we need to do to make our societies safer and more equitable for women? Well, let's hear what our viewers have to say about this matter. A comment from Anonymous in Johannesburg says, corporate culture is designed by men for men. Women also remain significantly underrepresented at senior leadership levels, so expecting pay gaps to be narrowed or culture to change is asking for the impossible. I have to get your comment here, Lisa, because it's all very well to talk about those brutes who beat up women, who rape women, but even corporate world is responsible for this because there's an intersectionality. If you're going to pay women less, you are communicating your value for women. And it's not just a South African story. The World Bank has its own statistics about how women are less paid, even in first world countries, I think 19% less than men. So corporate world has a lot to do.
They do, and I think some of it's difficult to alter because it is, our entire world of work is structured around particular things. For example, that women are going to spend most of that women have a second job basically. They go home, they look after their children. So women actually end up spending less time at work because they have their second job caring for their children, their families, whereas men can spend more time at work, which means that they can earn more. So that's one of the reasons why we see this pay gap, is that women get penalized for caring. The other way in which you find they get penalized for caring is that many women the world over work in care into far greater numbers than men do. And if you look at the kind of pay, and here it's very hard to compare with men because it's so predominantly female dominated, the kind of work you earn in a caring industry is much less than you would earn if you were an engineer or an architect, for example. So the entire way our economy is structured is based on inequality. It's based on the idea that one group of people are going to be caring, which we're not going to pay for, while another group are going to be going out to work. And until we get a complete shift, and I'm afraid government is repeating it if we look at some of the proposals around the minimum wage gap, if we don't start looking at how we value care, whether it's unpaid or paid, it's going to be one of the ways in which we keep this wage gap permanently in place.
We'll continue with that in just a moment, but I do want to tell our viewers that the total shutdown is happening in South Africa tomorrow. And I want to take a moment to say that the total shutdown organizers appealed and invited women organizations from all sectors of society, including political parties. They asked them to dress in black. Other political parties will be represented. But guess what? The ANC Women's League is staging its own march tomorrow. Why? Because they just wouldn't make the concession to wear black. So even on such an issue that affects all women, they will not give up their political power and show empathy, solidarity, and activism with the women of South Africa. So tomorrow, when you're watching the news and you see coverage of the total shutdown, you will also see parallel coverage because journalists are supposed to do that, and that's what will be happening. The ANC will be staging its own march. So on the topic of the total shutdown and the effectiveness of continued marches, it's a pleasure to welcome Lesley Ncube, who's the national spokesperson for the movement, on the line. Lesley, what a pleasure to speak to you. All geared up for tomorrow. Tell us what will be happening and what is the idea behind tomorrow's march.
Thank you so much, Redi, for having us. Well, basically, the idea of tomorrow's march is just to hand over the memorandum to the three different branches of government, and it's basically a call to action for them to tell us why they've been failing us for the past 24 years post-democracy, and give them an action plan and call various stakeholders so that we can sit and draft a comprehensive plan that is efficient in trying to eradicate gender-based violence in the country.
So they're just going to take the petition and just go off and have tea and scones while you go back in the grassroots and have to fight the same battles. Do you have a plan should they not heed the call?
Well, we're not going to just give them the memorandum so that they can go and have their tea and scones and everything. One of our most important demands is that we want the president to commit to having a summit in Dabayo Mama where we sit down with various stakeholders and draft out, as I said, a comprehensive action plan on how to tackle gender-based violence. So So they will not be having any tea and scones because we will be calling and asking them to meet our demands, especially this first one. That's our first demand. So we will be pestering them day in, day out to ensure that everything on our demands is met.
All right, so that is the message to government. Leslie, what do we do with South African men? Because they're the ones abusing, raping, and killing women and children. What do we say to them tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what we're basically saying to them is that please stay away from the march tomorrow. The total shutdown is an intersectional women's march, meaning that it's only women and gender non-conforming people that are invited to the march. We've been asked by men, oh no, how can we help? Why aren't we on the ground? The way men can help is that they should stay away from work tomorrow, give women paid leave, do not partake in any economic activity. And the thing is that when men are questioning why we don't want them and trying to force themselves into our spaces, this is very symbolic of how they don't respect us when we're saying no. It's very important for men to heed our call. We are saying we don't want men there, and we're speaking on the issue of consent. So they should respect us when we say no men on the ground.
That's Lesley Ncube, national spokesperson for the movement. Total shutdown. It's taking place in all parts of South Africa tomorrow. I imagine you can go online and find all the information that you need. Women of South Africa taking to the streets. Stay tuned as we take more of your comments after the break.